Thank you. I'll just quickly talk about, I guess, why I'm here. Because I was born completely colorblind, so I've never seen color. And when I was a child, I had this strong curiosity to know what color was, because everyone kept talking about it, but I couldn't see it. So we tried to find a way of sensing it. Not because I wanted to see or perceive the beauty of color, but because color is an extremely social and popular element. There's things like Yellow Pages, Bluetooth, Greenpeace, Orange Red Cross, there's the Green Card, Pink Panther, there's Yellow Submarine, Blue Tack, James Brown is in his surname. So things that have nothing to do with the beauty of color but contain the name of color made me aware that color is everywhere. I couldn't ignore the existence of color. There's even a huge country called Greenland, which is probably not even green. So I had this feeling of feeling socially excluded in a way. So then I also there's also the use of color as a code can be very annoying, like hot water, cold water, you know automatically which one's which. Also when color is used as a code, maps, this is fine because this is a small map in Portugal, but if I go to Tokyo, I can get easily lost because some maps are just using codes. And also this strange situation, Ireland shares the same flag, exactly the same flag as Italy and France. So to me they look exactly the same. Also when it's used as a description, have you seen a man with ginger hair, blue eyes and dressed in pink? I would have no idea if I've seen this man, because the only information I get is that the man has hair, that he has eyes, and that he's not naked. That's why actually for a while I wanted to study music, because I thought music will have no color. So I guess, and the piano is black and white, so if I just play the piano I'll be in a black and white world. But then I realized that this wasn't true. My piano teachers also used color to describe different timbres. And then I also realized that Newton created a theory that related color with sound. So I realized that actually after Newton there were many more theories relating color and sound, music and colors. So I decided that I would maybe explore the relationship between color and sound. And actually I realized that there is a strong connection. They are both frequencies, so you can tell what's blue or yellow by the frequency that you see in light, and we can tell if it's a C or a D because of the frequency we get through sound. So there is a relationship between both. They're both frequencies. So we started a project in 2003 to see if I could actually hear the frequencies of color. So the idea was to create a third eye that would allow me to actually hear colors instead of see colors. And that's what we did in 2003. We started this project, and then it was basically a webcam in 2004 connected to a 5-kilo computer and then a pair of headphones. And that the software was picking up the color and was giving me the note of the frequency. So I was hearing red was F, orange F sharp, so on. Each color had a frequency, a note. Then I memorized the names of the colors, the notes of the colors, and then it became just normal. And there was a point when I was able to tell if it was blue or red by hearing the notes. And I didn't see why I should just have made colors, so we kept upgrading the software. To me, upgrading the software meant upgrading my senses. So we went up and up from 6 colors to 12, 24, 48, 100, 200, and then there was a point when I was able to perceive 360 different notes, one for each degree of the color wheel. And then here's how I hear color. So I hear color as sine waves, different microtones from red to red. So it's extremely microtonal. It's 1 octave divided into 360 notes. So it's between F and F sharp I have 30 notes, which is like going from red to orange. So I can really tell the difference between hue and hue. But then there's also different levels of saturation. So I decided to also have different levels of volume depending on if the color is very bright or very dull. So I have different volumes depending on its saturation. Now, there was a point when I was able to perceive as many colors as humans, but I didn't see why I should stop there, because there's many more colors in the world that we cannot perceive, such as infrareds and ultraviolets. So I decided to continue extending my color perception, and I included infrared and ultraviolet to my antenna, and then now I can actually perceive these colors which go beyond human sight. So I can tell if it's a good day or a bad day to sunbathe, because if I hear ultraviolet, then I know it's not good for our skin. Or if I hear infrared, then it means that there's movement detectors in a room. I don't feel any infrared here, so there's no movement detectors. But for example, if I go to a bank, I can tell if the alarm is on or off. And in many occasions they're off, so it's interesting to know when. So my other development was to create this as a body part. I didn't want to use technology to perceive color, and I didn't want to wear technology to perceive color. I wanted to become technology. So I wanted to create a body part. And that's how I started developing this as an antenna in different ways to make it more and more adapted to my body. And then when I had the final version, which is this one with a chip, I tried to convince the doctor to drill my head and implanted it in my skull. Now this was a bit difficult because bioethical committees didn't agree, so I had to convince the bioethical committee. They said no. I went to another hospital. They said no. So in the end, I found a doctor that told me he would do it anonymously, basically, and then he did the operation. So I told him I wanted an antenna. I compared my antenna with other insects, and I said I wanted one on the left, on the right, which is more like this one, the cetaceans. So it's actually inspired with nature, and he said he would do it. So we had this operation, took like between 3 and 4 hours. If you don't like this, maybe close your eyes here. I was lying like this. My hair was a bit, so they removed some hair, and then they basically opened, and then there was 4 inputs, 1 for the audio input inside my skull, 2 for the antenna, and just before the operation we decided to have an extra one to have internet connection, because then I would be able to have reception of colors from other parts. So now I have internet connection, so people can send colors from other parts of the world. So there's 5 people now, 1 in each continent, that has a direct connection to my head, and they can send colors from Australia, from Asia, or from Europe or Africa. So I can suddenly receive colors that other people are seeing. So I no longer need to perceive the colors that are in front of me. I can also receive colors that are outside. The next stage is to actually connect the antenna to space so that I can perceive the colors outside this planet. If I connect this to a personal satellite, this personal satellite that you can send to space, and if there's a camera that detects the colors, I can actually connect my head directly to space, and it will feel like having a third eye in space, and that will allow me to perceive the ultraviolets out there, because there's many, many more colors outside this planet that we are not sensing, and colors that even don't have names anymore. So basically, I feel cyborg, which is a word that unites cybernetics and organism. I feel that my brain accepts the software as an extension of the brain, and I feel that the antenna is a body part. So feeling cyborg, feeling this union I felt this when one morning I realized that the brain was creating electronic sounds in my dreams. I woke up and I realized that my brain was creating color, not the software, and that's when I felt this union. And also that's what I had to explain to the passport office in 2004, because I wasn't allowed to renew my passport, because they said that you are not allowed to appear on your passport photo with any electronic equipment. So I told them that this was not an electronic equipment, this was a body part, a part of my body. And then they said, no, please just remove this, and then if you want to wear it, just wear it. And I said, no, this is a body part. I kept insisting, and in the end they allowed me to appear in this passport from 2004 with this first prototype, which was still with cables and heads. This allows me to travel freely around the world, because there's a lot of problems in airports when they see me with the antenna. And then my life has changed in many ways, like the way I dress. Before I dressed in a way that it looked good, now I dress in a way that it sounds good. I decide how I want to dress depending on the sound I want to wear. So today I'm wearing C major, so it's a combination of E, C, and G. But if I went to a funeral, I would wear a minor chord, which would probably be like green, orange, and blue. So it's a combination that creates a minor chord. And you can also wear a song. So if you design different sets of clothes, you can actually wear a specific song. And we design different garments, like this tie. It sounds like Sega Bodega. It's well, you can say very well, but it's a colorful tie that sounds like a melody. The way I perceive food has also changed, because now I can compose music with salads and eat a song as well. And you can also, we're working with a chef in Spain, so we'll create a sonochromatic menu so that people can ask for Lady Gaga salad or Mozart as a main dish. So you can choose your song and then you'll eat the song. So now I also can compose music by looking at things. Instead of playing a piano, I look at objects and then I can amplify the sounds in my head with a stethoscope so that the audience can hear the music. And by just looking at different objects, I can create a concert. Also by looking at people's faces, so I can give face concerts. So the audience cues, and then I listen to the different parts and they hear the notes. And if the concert sounds really bad, it's their fault because they're music. So this is how I hear different objects. And my experience of walking around the supermarket has changed a lot because it's like going to electronic music concerts because that's where I hear most variations of music. Milk is silent, for example. So white and black is silent. If there's no hue, there's no sound. Also, the way I perceive art has changed. I can hear the scream, I can hear Picasso, I can hear all the painters have become composers. So going to an art museum has changed a lot because I experience art as a musical experience. And also the way I perceive people has changed. Faces sound, so each face sounds different. So I really like doing sound portraits where I get close to people's face. Then I listen to the sound of their eyes, their lips, their skin, and their hair, and then I send them an MP3 of their face so that they can hear themselves. And I've tried finding faces that sound the same, but I haven't. So twins as well sound different. And what I realized is that we are not white or black. So people that say that they are black, they're not actually black. They're very, very dark orange. And people that say they're white, they're not actually white. They're very, very light orange as well. So we are all actually sharing exactly the same hue. And it's false that we are black and white. We are all orange and there's different shades of orange, but it's always the same hue. So this is, for example, a sound portrait. You can hear one eye, the other eye. We usually have 5 notes, and then this is a unique chord, microtonal chord that is different for each person. So this is one face. Also, I realized that cities are not gray, so I thought that cities were gray when I was growing up, but I realized that each city has its own dominant colors, and I did a project in 2007 where I went to each city in Europe, so I went, well, not each, but I went to 31 countries, to each capital. Dublin was one of them, trying to scan each city and trying to detect the dominant colors. Each city was different. Madrid was amber terracotta, Lisbon was light yellow and turquoise, and Dublin was actually a shade between red and orange, which is the bricks that you see, and then a shade of unsaturated blue, which is there's many stones that people say they're gray, but they're not actually gray. They're very, very unsaturated blue. So there's these 2 shades. The secondary effect of hearing color is that sound also becomes color. So it started happening with the telephone line. When I listen to a telephone line, I feel green because it sounds green. In most countries, the telephone line is A, which is green. And then it's happened with music as well. Each note that I hear in any melody, I can transpose to color. So this is, for example, the first 350 notes of Mozart's Queen of the Night. So note by note, from the center to the end, just transposing each note to a color. And this is Baby Baby by Justin Bieber, which is actually very pink and yellow. Also, speeches can be transposed to color. When we speak, we use different frequencies, and if you listen a speech from someone, you can actually transpose each syllable, and then you see the dominant color. Martin Luther King was very blue and it was very blue and purple and pink, whereas Hitler had very different colors in very small amount of time because he went from one pitch to another in just a sentence. I'm also creating the sound palette so that you can actually paint in C major or G major. There's a combination of the 3 notes creates one color, which is a chord. So there's now 600 new colors with chord names. And I've also been doing lots of color concerts. This is the one I did in January, where a choir and a string quartet learned how to perform colors. And then the day of the concert, they didn't have a score. I was using the lights to give them the notes. So if I was shining blue and yellow and green, then they were playing C, G, and A. So they were playing the colors that I was projecting on them. Now, just to end, this is in 2010, Moon Rivas and I decided to create the Cyborg Foundation just to help other people become cyborgs. So we want other people to encourage other people to become cyborgs, so to use technology as part of their body to create a new sense or a new perception or an extended perception of reality. We also promote cyborgism as an art movement, and we defend cyborg rights. So we defend the right to become a cyborg and to become technology. Some of the projects we've done is this one is an internal radar, just earrings that vibrate whenever there's presence in front of you. It's very simple, earrings. If you have your eyes shut, you can tell if someone's walking from left to right or right to left. Also, Moon had it in her passport, so she was able to travel with her earrings. Then if you use these earrings the other way around, then you can sense if there's someone behind you. So it gives you a 360 degree of what is around you. So if you have a chair here, you would feel a vibration. If someone comes behind you, you would feel the vibration as well. We also created the Earborg, which is like this, but the other way around. It transforms sounds to color, so you can visualize sound. If you go to a concert, you can see in a small screen the different notes, so the different colors live. So it detects the dominant frequency and then transposes it to color. If someone talks to you, you can also see the color of their voice.
One name.
And created like also cybernetic eyes for blind people, so that they can sense other things. You could sense distances or also words. If you have a chip that detects words, then you can actually hear a book instead of translating it into Braille, because many books are not translated into Braille. Also, if you use this one with blind people that were able to see color when they were children, it actually activates their memory, because some blind people remember the color red. So if they hear red and they remember that sound is red, then they actually visualize the color, so it has a different effect. We also created the Iwork App for Android, so you can actually use your mobile phone to hear colors around you. And some people are creating projects with this app. Also, this is a boy came to the Cyborg Foundation with one finger missing, so he wanted to have something extra. So we started talking to him, what would you like to have? He wasn't very sure, but he didn't want just a normal finger. So we asked him, well, do you smoke? Because maybe you could have a lighter, but he doesn't smoke. So, and then we thought maybe something that allows you to know the exact weight of everything you have, so that you would know the weight of. So this would be useful if he was selling fruit or something, but he wasn't selling any kind of. So we realized that he was a photographer and filmmaker. So we thought maybe if you have a camera and you can use this camera. So now he actually has a small camera inside his finger, and he can actually take pictures and selfies with his own hand, which is. It's practical, but it's still not there. We want this camera to give him some kind of feedback so that he can have an extra sense. So now he's using it as instead of using his phone, he uses his hand, but the aim is that he will have an extra sense soon. Also, the internal compass, which allows you to know where the north is, because at the bottom of your leg, and you can have it implanted, and then it vibrates whenever you face north. So you can use it as a sense of orientation. This is also another 360 degree perception, like cars, but with more sensors, so you can feel more your surroundings, and this can also be implanted inside the skull. Also, something that's not electronic or cybernetic, but I really want to have, because I have a tooth missing, and I thought I didn't want to have a normal tooth. So with the dentist, we're creating this tooth that will have light, so in case of total darkness, I can just click, and then I can open my mouth and I'll have some light, which is just very practical. But we're trying to find a way that it won't go on and off when I eat, because then it will be... And this is the last one. This is the seismic sense, which has been worn by Moon Rivas for over a year. It allows her to feel earthquakes whenever there's an earthquake in the world. So now she's here, but if there's an earthquake in China, she feels a vibration on her elbow. If there's if in 10 minutes there's another earthquake in California, she'll feel this vibration. Depending on the Richter scale, the vibration is higher or lower. And she's completely connected to the natural movements of Earth constantly. And she uses this as well in dance. Her last piece is Waiting for Earthquakes, where she just waits on stage, and she doesn't dance if there's no earthquake. So if there's no dance, if there's no earthquakes, there's no dance, basically. And, well, just to end this, I think that becoming a cyborg, this union between humans and technology, is a natural thing. I think it can actually allow us to connect closer to nature. In my case, I feel now much closer to other animal species. I feel closer to insects now that I have an antenna, because I can relate to them in a very strong way. Also, I feel closer to these animals that can sense ultraviolets and infrareds, and I also feel closer to dolphins and to other animals in the sea that can hear through bone conduction. And I also feel that all the other projects that we're doing are connected to nature. Feeling earthquakes is something that many other animal species can do. Having internal light is something that fish can do in total darkness, some fish under the ocean. So I believe that becoming cyborgs will actually connect us closer to nature, and it will also allow us to express ourselves through ways that we have never explored. So I trust that there will be a lot of artists using new senses very soon, and it will become an art movement which will slowly become a social movement. Thank you.